This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with Auto Quote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Hello, Lolas. Hey, it's Joanne Crone. You're here on the No Guilt Mom podcast. You might have recognized my different greeting because each podcast episode, I am going to call you by what we call every woman in our balance community. You're a Lola now. You're a Lola. And a Lola is short for Lotus Lady. And what that means is that you are part of a select group of women who have chosen to work on themselves to benefit their entire family. Lotus comes from our Lotus framework here at No Guilt Mom. So you're a Lola. So hi, Lolas. How are you? I am so happy to be joining you here for this special Thanksgiving episode of the No Guilt Mom podcast. I'm going to shake it up a little bit. I'm going to do something a little different. I am a huge TV watcher. Like, do you like the shows as much as I do? I feel like I'm my grandma where I'm saying like, hey, did you watch your shows today? Did you enjoy your stories? That's a little bit how I feel. There is this show on Peacock right now. It is called All Her Fault. Have you watched it yet? It's amazing. And it really digs into the pressures that moms face to do it all and then how they're blamed when it goes wrong. And so today I'm going to be taking one of the big relationships. It's a husband-wife relationship in All Her Fault. And we're going to be looking at it in terms of boundaries because boundaries is such a huge issue. Like it's a huge issue for me too. I don't think I grew up learning how to set very good boundaries because as women, we're really told, oh, we need to make other people happy. We need to be the easiest, quote unquote, easiest possible. So boundaries in our adult life are an extremely hard thing for many of us to set. And I hate to criticize other women. I don't want to do that because we all have our unique shame. But when we see it in a TV show, it's written for that specific character. And it's a way we can learn and how we might be able to take what they do and make sure that it doesn't happen in our own lives. So that's what we're doing today. All Her Fault, boundaries. I am going to be giving some spoilers, but only in regards to this relationship that I'm talking about. I'm talking about Jenny's relationship with her husband. So just know that you'll know how that character arc goes, but I'm not going to give away like the spoilers of them. Like the main story revolves around a missing child, Milo. I'm not going to be talking about that. So if you haven't yet watched All Her Fault, just know that. But with that, let's get on with the show. Okay, so for this episode, I've picked 3 scenes in All Her Fault, which I think are so illustrative of what goes on in relationships today. Like I coach women individually and I hear these stories day after day. And so this first one happens at a business meeting and it's a night business meeting. Jenny's there in this fabulous leather skirt. Like if you haven't watched the TV show, go see Jenny's leather skirt in this episode. It's amazing. And she walks into this restaurant in Chicago, greeted by 2 guys. Jenny is in marketing for a publisher, extremely good at her job, has this amazing slide deck prepared, trying to pitch what I believe is another author's agent on why this author should come to Jenny's company. And she's here in this slideshow and like panning through all of the like slides on her iPad when all of a sudden her phone starts buzzing. And she kind of gives this roll of the eyes and then it buzzes again. And she looks down on it and it's texts from her husband saying that their son Jacob won't go to sleep and if Jenny could talk with him. Now, imagine this. Jenny is in such an important meeting and she's being interrupted because her husband cannot handle bedtime. And I know like many of you may have experienced this yourself. Like this is a very relatable occurrence. So Jenny leaves the meeting. She answers the call and she's here. She has to excuse herself from the table and she goes on the stairs and she's talking to her son and she's like, "It's okay. I'll be home soon." And you hear this little kid's voice who's like 7 or 8 years old being like, "Mommy, where are you? I want you," which that tugs on like any mom hearing their kid when you're in the middle of a meeting, because automatically you have all of this guilt that goes through you. So let's go through this and look to see each part of it. Because number one, I want to ask you this question. If your phone was buzzing in the middle of a business meeting and you saw it was your husband and your husband was with your child, or maybe it's a babysitter who's with your child, would you be able to really think about anything else or keep your mind on anything else if this was going on? Like, probably not, right? Like, I wouldn't. I couldn't just look at a text and like tell myself to ignore the text. That text would be on my mind and I would be thinking about it with every sentence that I utter, like everyone. Pretty soon, it would probably get so bad that I would have to turn, like, just take myself out of the meeting and go handle whatever issue there was, which I imagine that's exactly what the character Jenny was going through as well. I had this actually at nighttime, like my kids like to text me on my phone instead of coming to get me in my room. It maybe supreme laziness. I don't know. I doubt this is a very great way to handle things, but it's okay. I am honest with you. We're going to go with it. All of us Lolas, we are all going through a growth process here, but they text me. And right now my daughter is sick. And so at 6 a.m. this morning, I get a text that says, "Oh, I'm in so much pain. Please help me." And I see that text and I immediately, like, my phone slams down on my dresser because I'm irritated. I'm irritated that number one, I am the one being called and not my husband, uh, who is sound asleep right beside me. And I'm irritated that I really didn't get much sleep last night because I was worried about my daughter being sick. And I was just irritated at the general state of motherhood, being like, why can't I, number one, sleep? And why can't I, number two, not be the one always on call? But I immediately went over to her and I took care of her because my brain wouldn't have been able to relax knowing that my child was in pain. And looking at it from that way, like seeing what Jenny did in that meeting and all her fault, like I totally get that. I totally understand. And looking at the narrative that going through my mind, and it was probably going through Jenny's mind as well, as this is my job. I'm the one who needs to be there. I always go on this huge little guilt shame spiral that if I don't go take care of it, they'll remember this for years and they'll remember that their mom is inattentive and that she didn't come to them when they were sick and she didn't comfort them. Like all of these things. So I hope that by me saying this out loud, you hear some of this as well, just to know that you're not alone. And it's also this idea of your child suffering without you. Like, I don't want my daughter to be in pain. I don't want her to suffer. So it's like this invisible rule I'm carrying along with me too, that if my child suffers even a little, then I've failed, right? Like, can you relate to this? Because it is something that adds to both our mental load and our emotional load. So there are really three things to take from this scene. First of all, how notifications train us to respond instantly. Instantly. I talked about not being able to turn my brain off once a notification went off. And I think that the solution there is to just take notifications off our phones. Just take them off. Like my husband has told me this many, many times. Take the notifications off, because if you are not responsive via text, there will be a phone call that comes in if it's an actual emergency. Now with kids, this gets rather funny because I have turned all of my phones on silent, especially when I'm recording this podcast. And my daughter, 16-year-old, she will call 4 times, because 4 times is the number you need to break through the on focus mode. 4 times, and she will call and break through. And it was never an emergency. It was always like, "Hey, I'm coming home. Can I get Starbucks?" Just totally interrupting my train of thought to have Starbucks. And that was a conversation that I had to have with her and a boundary I set, basically saying that, hey, wanting to get Starbucks is not an emergency. And I need all of my focus on my recording when I am on silent. But there's a second thing that happens here, which is how this guilt convinces us everything is urgent. I'm trained like this with my mom too. If I see my mom ever calling on my phone, immediately my heart starts pounding fast because I think that there's something wrong with my parents. And that is just guilt at work. It's the guilt of being a daughter. It's the guilt of also like not calling my parents enough, like I think I should, or some ideal number in my head that I think I should. So that's the second thing to take from the scene, how guilt convinces us everything is urgent. And then the third thing is that we talk a lot about how we need to take self-care for ourselves, right? But self-care becomes impossible when we subconsciously expect ourselves to prevent every discomfort for our kids. When we subconsciously expect ourselves to be the one to prevent every discomfort in our kids. Because with that, we can never go out and relax. Kids always need something. I've learned through all of my years of parenting, there will always be a need. There will always be a dinner they don't want. They want a DoorDash instead. There will always be like something that they don't want to do that their dad asks them to do, like put away their shoes, and how dad is being mean about it when he's really not being mean and just asking them to put away their shoes. But there will always be something. And this guilt that we have holds us back, and it's been ingrained in us, and we have been trained in it. So when we act in this way, and what Jenny in particular is modeling is that she is telling people when she has those notifications on and when she answers her phone that my time is interruptible always. Right? Can you identify with that? Like, do you feel that in your life that you may be telling the ones you love your time is always interruptible? Or if you call, I'll answer, even if I'm doing something important, right? I think I hold that unconscious belief in my head as well. And Jenny's husband is passing off the emotional load without even realizing it. And he is also treating parenting as something that's not his job. He's treating parenting as something that Jenny is responsible for. So with this scene, here's what we can take from it. First of all, that what a boundary could look like in this scenario. And remember, boundaries are something that you do, not something that you tell somebody else to do and expect them to like be accountable for and follow up on. Boundaries are something that you do. So for example, telling her husband, don't call me isn't a boundary. But not answering the call when her husband calls her, that's a boundary. So here are some other boundaries that she could put on. Turning those notifications off and trusting that her husband is in charge. That's a big one. Put that phone on silent. Put that phone on focus mode. Put it in your bag where you cannot see that sucker light up. Because if that sucker lights up, you know you're grabbing it. I know I'm grabbing it. I totally know I'm grabbing it. And also, before these kind of meetings, having a pre-conversation. Like during meetings, I'm unavailable. You have got this and I trust you. Just that simple framing, it helps you more than it helps, say, your partner who's with the kids. Because when you say that out loud, you are not only telling them, but you are telling yourself that you trust that they will handle things. And that's really, really important. And also, define for yourself, when is a call truly an emergency? Have you asked yourself that question? Like asking myself that question now, I think the only time I would ever consider a call an actual emergency is if one of my kids was going to go to the hospital. That's about it. Like if they can't find their favorite toy, not an emergency. If they don't like what dad is making for dinner, not an emergency. So define that for yourself. What is an emergency? What is something that you would actually drop everything for when you are doing something just for yourself? And when you ask yourself that question, you'll probably be amazed at what comes up. So that's our first scene. We're going to go into the next scene where Jenny actually lays down the law and tells her husband exactly what is bothering her about these constant interruptions and always on mom time. We're going to do that right up.
I am so excited about this, Joanne. I've been eyeing the skylight frame as a gift for my parents, and honestly, I think it's quite genius.
Yeah, same. It's a digital photo frame you can send pictures to, and they show up instantly. No apps, no subscriptions, just email a photo and boom, it pops up right on the frame.
I love that because apps are not my parents' strong point, and I love the idea of preloading it with special moments. So when they unwrap it, it's already filled with all the pictures of, me, their lovely grandchildren, birthdays, vacations. It's basically a hug in a photo frame.
I think I would preload it with pictures of me so my parents remember that I'm their child first and not their grandkids. But setup takes under a minute, even for the non-tech savvy people in your life. Plus, you can keep sending new photos anytime. It's like always showing up even when you're far away. Right now, Skylight is offering our listeners $20 off their 10-inch frames by going to myskylight.com/NGM. Go to myskylight.com/NGM for $20 off your 10-inch frame. That's myskylight.com/NGM.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso. Gift magical mornings with Nespresso Virtuo Pop. Compact and stylish, Virtuo Pop is made to meet every morning coffee craving. From espresso to coffee, hot or iced, at the click of a button. And celebrate the season with Nespresso's limited edition coffee flavors. Sweet almond and hibiscus, cinnamon and candied tamarind, and festive double espresso. Magic in the making. Shop the holiday gift collection exclusively at Nespresso.com.
Oh, Hilton stay, your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay, oh, Hilton stay.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. Enjoy comfortable rooms and friendly service when you stay with Hilton instead. Save up to 25% this season when you book with Hilton. Hilton for the stay. Terms apply.
After this, we saw Jenny in the important meeting, interrupting everything to go take a call. Now, let's go into when she actually loses it on her husband. This is a scene that has been filtering around Instagram, and Jenny is in the car, and her husband calls her and asks, "When will you be home?" Because he's the one watching their son, Jacob. And Jenny replies that she never asks her husband when he'll be done if he's out without the kid. She handles all of the shopping, the cleaning, the schedules, the parenting tasks in her quote unquote free time. So she never gets any free time. Her husband gets to go play basketball with his friends. Her husband gets to go off by himself. But Jenny, in those times that she does not physically have their child, she is doing all of the other household responsibilities. Her time is consumed by responsibilities when his is just wide open. Now, the rest of his response is, "Oh, but you knew this when you married me, and you love me having my own time," which is just maddening. It is maddening. And she's like, "You're right. Marriage takes work, and I'll just work a little harder on it." I wanted to scream at my television screen when I heard that, because I'm like, no, BS. He is not taking responsibility for this child the same way you are, nor is he honoring your time. Because here, let's just lay it out. Yes, partners should have separate time when they can do stuff on their own without the responsibilities of parenthood. They should definitely have it, but it only works if both parents' time is protected. That's it. I remember with my husband when we first had my daughter, and she was around 2. He would I would go into work early. I was a teacher, and he would then take our daughter to daycare and then go to a coffee shop and sit and read for an hour. And so his day started off really nice and leisurely And then my day was anything but. My day was I went into work by like 7:30. I got my kids, students, 8:30 a.m. And then I was working pretty much all through the day until I came and I got my daughter at 5 p.m. from daycare and went home. And then I was with my daughter the whole time. Like I got none of that relaxation, coffee shop time at all. And I became really, really resentful how that did not work in my schedule. And I was just coming home very, very angry, especially in those evening hours when it feels like your kids have all of the tantrums. And then I get mad at him for not coming home on time because he wasn't there to pick up the slack or help me at all, like with the evenings, with the afternoons. And I really, really hesitate saying that word help me because it's his child too. Like he's not helping me. He's just being a father. So these were discussions we had very, very early in parenthood. And he said that he needed his coffee time to be relaxed. And I honestly didn't know what I needed. I didn't know. I saw my time as something that was elastic, that I would just fit in things here and there to help other people. My time I did not view in the same way he viewed his time. I didn't view my time as fixed and valuable. I didn't view my relaxation as fixed and valuable. And I really felt a lot of guilt when I relaxed, especially, and this is a point like worth underlining, especially if he was uncomfortable when I was relaxing. Like if he was in a situation with our daughter and like she would be disagreeing or she would just be really, really energetic. And I knew that it was a hard time for him. I couldn't relax. Do you feel that same way now in your life? Like, are there points where you just can't relax if you know your partner is being uncomfortable, like is uncomfortable? There are so many reasons we don't take time for ourselves as moms. I mean, one of them is just being uncomfortable with taking time for ourselves, being willing to take up that space and make others uncomfortable too when they have to take on those responsibilities we usually take on, like childcare. Also, believing that we're responsible for someone else's comfort. Like me believing that I was responsible for my husband being uncomfortable. I'm not. You're not. You're not responsible for that. He is responsible for his own discomfort. Okay. If he is uncomfortable, he needs to take steps to rectify that. Like that is not on you at all. Because there's also this fear of burdening other people. And that is a really, really hard guilt threshold to take down. Because if every time you leave the house, you fear you are burdening the people who are watching your kids, there is never going to be a time you can relax in the entire world. Ever. It won't happen. This is something that we have to work towards. We have to work through. Because if we keep telling ourselves that, relaxation becomes impossible. And there's also this habit built over the years of doing everything and taking on everybody else's emotions and taking on their uncomfortableness that is also a barrier for us. And so what's a boundary look like in this situation? What could Jenny have done? What can you do right now in your life? You could say just a clear declaration. Pick your time that you are going to be unavailable during the week. Maybe you just say, hey, I am going out with friends from 6 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday. I'm going to be unreachable. And then go do it. And practice doing it, because I can guarantee if you have never done this before, the first time it's going to feel very, very weird, very uncomfortable, very like not relaxing. And that's why you have to do it multiple times. Because you're already in this habit right now of making sure that everybody else feels good. And I want you to get into the habit of you feeling good. And that's going to take some repetition. So I just want to warn you that when you do this, that little discomfort you feel, totally normal. Follow through, even if it feels uncomfortable, because that's the only way to the other side. And when you let the other parent experience the full responsibility of taking care of the kid, They gain confidence. Like they believe in themselves that they can handle these situations, which they totally can. They see the true mental load that you're carrying and how many things you have to keep in your head. And they start recognizing too what you carry every day. So there's a lot more respect going back and forth in the relationship. So I want you to ask yourself this question. Do you feel guilty when you take breaks? And based on everything we just talked about, I bet you do. I did. I totally did. I totally did. I don't feel that much anymore just because I've gone through the practice of actually doing the discomfort, going through the uncomfortableness, going out and knowing that the whole world did not melt down when I did so. So after this, we're going to go to the explosion point in Jenny and her husband's relationship and what Jenny did and what we can learn from it and boundaries we can set from it. And we'll go into it right after this.
With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels on everything from lamps to ceiling fans, even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes, now available in crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox, clean feels good.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. Black Friday Game Day on Prime is an epic day of live sports. It all starts at 9 a.m. Eastern with the Capital One Skins game. Then, Black Friday football returns when the Bears take on the Eagles at 3 p.m. And it culminates with the final night of Emirates NBA Cup Group play with Bucks Knicks at 7 p.m. and Mavs Lakers at 10 p.m. Black Friday Game Day, only on Prime.
In Walmart's Who'Newville, everyone ready their cart. Amazing Black Friday deals are about to start. Online and in the app, such great deals to explore. Everything you love from tech, toys, and more. The days to save and the ones to remember. It's only the 25th to the 30th of November. Set your alarms. Don't miss out. These deals are epic, without a doubt. The Who's are all ready, but are you? Walmart Black Friday deals await. Who knew?
Here we are, final stage in the relationship. Now, if you haven't watched this far and All Her Fault, I would stop the podcast now if you really, really want to be surprised for every single thing that happens. Remember, I'm not giving big spoilers. I'm only talking about their relationship, Jenny and her husband. Okay? That warning going forward, here we go. So Jenny hits her breaking point at like a certain part where she is in the middle of a huge business meeting, and this PTA mom who always kind of like takes the play dates after school, but then lords it over everybody else to get other favors, like being on a fundraising committee. She's that kind of mom. She calls Jenny and she can't get in touch with Jenny's husband. And she says that one of her kids is sick and if she can come pick up Jacob, her child. And Jenny's like, of course. When Jenny comes to pick her child up, this PTA mom is like, yeah, like I saw your husband actually by the lake, just sitting there doing nothing. And Jenny's like, what? No, that must be a mistake. And then PTA mom goes even deeper and is like, yeah, maybe you guys should really take some time out and work on your family a little bit. At which Jenny erupts at the mom and just says, you know what? You have no business saying something like that. And then she puts in another like little dig. And no, I will not be on your fundraising committee. And she just erupts like huge. And you're here as the viewer being like, yes, Jenny finally stood up for herself. Like her anger right there in that moment is totally justified because her needs have gone unmet for a very, very long time. Like this is a total example of Jenny stuffing all of her emotions and her needs like farther down into the garbage can, like just smushing that garbage down, down, down. And finally, she has reached the point of explosion. Now, I want to preface this, which in a normal, healthy relationship, when you are regulated and when your emotions are regulated, it's optimal never to get to that point where you are screaming at someone else. This is for drama. This is for entertainment, for TV. It is very entertaining to watch someone explode at someone else, but you might feel a little sick if you explode at someone else. I know I do. Like whenever I have lost my temper, I have always felt a bit nauseous afterwards and been like, what did I do? I can't believe this, because these kind of situations happen if you push those emotions down, but you might not even realize they're happening. So just know TV dramatizes conflict. You don't have to yell at people to get to this point. You can solve this situation so much easier with a lot less conflict than actually goes on in this show. Because the conversation she had with the PTA mom should not happen in the heat of frustration. In fact, one of the things that we practice in balance is that if you feel like your emotions are already at a 10, that is not the time to have a conversation about problem solving. You need to wait until you cool down, where your whole brain comes back online, you can think clearly, and you're not driven by that emotional anger. Because emotionally charged moments like these rarely lead to solutions. They might feel good in the moment, but they're not going to solve any problem. Because here's what happened in here for Jenny. Jenny shared her frustrations only once they boiled over. And what you practice as a Lola is sharing those frustrations when you realize they're there. Saying that, hey, I need a break. Earlier than you getting to the point of exploding and yelling at your entire family, why aren't the socks picked up from the living room? When really it's because you are boiling over emotionally with no support and no help whatsoever. So sharing those frustrations regularly with the people in your life, make sure that they don't boil over like that. And in Jenny's case also, there wasn't a pattern of calm, consistent boundary setting. The pattern was that Jenny would do all the things. Her husband would push back a bit, and Jenny would then back up to herself, apologize, and say she wasn't working hard enough. Instead of setting that boundary and saying, it is your job, like, to pick up the kid. That's what needs to happen. Or you can find a nanny for us. Which they had a nanny in the show, which is why I mention it. There wasn't a structure for problem solving either. In Jenny and her husband's relationship, they did not have that kind of relationship at all. And what is hard when you're in a relationship is that there's a thing that I go to therapy. I think I'm pretty open about that. But something that my therapist said to me the other day, she says, it's unfair that the more skilled communicator always has to lead the conversation. And if somebody is unskilled in communicating in a relationship, it then falls on the person who is skilled to lead everything forward to a solution. So one thing that I teach women to work on here in Balance in our coaching program is that how to become that skilled communicator, how to be able to say your feelings in a way that doesn't make the other person want to immediately become defensive, even though they might become defensive. Like that's a pretty natural human instinct. But also being able to spot those patterns of them being defensive and knowing how that is unfair to you and how it just shows that they're unskilled in communicating, and you come in and skill them and teach them a little bit. And that's unfair that it has to be on you to do that. It is really, really unfair. But know that communication is the way that you don't have to yell at people or lose your cool. It's the way to actually solve problems. But it's not entertaining. It's pretty boring. Which honestly, with the amount of stress we have in our lives, we could probably deal with some things being a little more boring. So what this could have looked like instead of her blowing up and then blowing up at her husband, and I won't divulge that part of it because that's a pretty big plot point, but asking questions like, how are we dividing responsibilities this week? Or what's working and what isn't? Every Wednesday, I have a lunch date with my husband, and this is when we have these kind of conversations. So if you have a partner, I highly recommend that you have a set time every week, whether it is a lunch date if you can, whether it's a walk around the block once a week, where you can talk about these things. A lot of moms that I talk to, they do not have these set date points with their partner because both are running so fast with kids' activities that there is just no time to talk. And if there is no time to talk, that's like a ding, 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 that it's time to carve out that time because it is the most important thing and it'll help you get through so much in your relationship and make sure that your relationship stays strong, connected, and that you feel supported. Another really, really great thing is to have these clear emotional statements without accusing the other person. So we've been taught this communication style where it's like, you make me so mad. And I want you to stop right there because I'm going to give you a point on how to reframe that. Because another person cannot make you do anything. It is you inside. So instead of you make me so mad, instead I want you to say what's going on in the situation without any judgment. So for example, I called you at 6:40, which was 40 minutes after your workday ended, and you didn't pick up. That would be a pretty logical explanation of what actually happened. Something that wouldn't be logical, it would be putting intent or assumptions in it. So this is what that would sound like. I called you at 6:40 and you ignored my call and you didn't think I was important enough to pick up. So that's adding intent. So don't add intent when you say the statement. Keep it all very, very, if a third person came in and looked at that same situation, they'd be like, yes, totally. That's what happened. And then say how you feel. I feel frustrated. I feel sad. I feel unimportant when I call that many times and I can't get through to you. That is an emotional statement without an accusation, and they help so, so, so much. So taking all of Jenny's story, what we call character arc, how she changed throughout the series, remember that taking time for yourself is something to be worked on if you feel guilty on it right now. If you feel like you're responsible for everybody else's emotions and their behavior, you have to really, really counter that first before you're ever going to feel good taking care of yourself. And communication, when done right, it's not conflict. It's not fighting back and forth. That's not communicating. That's just yelling at each other. It's about being clear on what you want and also being clear on what the other person wants as well. And boundaries don't push others away. They allow for a healthier connection because it's not just you handling everything now. It's split between you and your partner. So let me know what you thought of this episode. It's a new kind of thing. Come to our No Guilt Mom podcast group on Facebook. I'm going to link to it in the show notes. Come join us. Come talk about it there. Or you can send me an email at hello@noguiltmom.com. Remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you. I will talk to you later.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Wishing you a very happy half-off holiday because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day, yeah? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.